Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about fluoride exposure, because not only is it affecting you and your families at home, but it's affecting you and your families when you get inside the hospital. See, fluoride doesn't really belong in the body, but we tend to get everywhere. Now, classically, we all grow up since probably the 50s talking about how it's good for our teeth, and I'm sure that's true to a certain extent, but it does far more damaging things and has far more damaging effects on the body than it does benefits, especially at the levels at which we're getting it. René Descartes was a famous French philosopher, scientist, and he actually believed that the pineal gland, which I'm going to get into just one moment, was the window to our soul. Some people know it as the master gland, even though it's about this big, about the size of a pea. It sits in a little cavity inside of our brain. And he believed that this was the window to our soul, that this was our third eye, literally our third eye. And why this is important is because fluoride calcifies that pineal gland. That pineal gland is the master gland. So just think about that. Something so small having so much control over so many other glands and other things in the body. And if that has calcium in it, well, it can't function properly, right? So something that I see every single day, and it's on repeat, is there's two sides to this coin. The first side is when I do CAT scans of the head. There's always calcified pineal glands, and these two, if you look at a CAT scan on the side of your pineal gland, which is pretty much right in the center of your brain, on either side, there are things called the choroid plexuses, or plexes, and what those are responsible for is making the fluid that surrounds our spinal cord. So our spinal cord sits in a column that connects to our brain, and it kind of suspends in this fluid. It's clear, it's beautiful. It's literally almost more clear than water, if that makes sense. It's the most clear substance you'll ever see in your life when you draw it out, if it's not infected, of course. So with that said, those parts of the brain are being calcified, and you see this on a CAT scan every day. Now, the other side of the coin that I just mentioned a moment ago is the fact that it's so regular, it's so commonplace now that it's not even on your CAT scan reports. Doctors aren't commenting on it. They'll go through the brain, even they'll denote it as a negative, or meaning it's good. You know, there's nothing wrong with your brain or your bones or anything like that. But at the same time, we're seeing calcified choroid plexus, and we're seeing a calcified pineal gland because it's so regular, almost every single person. So we have this max exposure, almost an umbrella exposure in our country and other places in the world that of fluoride. And so some other things that fluoride is related to is osteoporosis and different heavy metal exposures in the body that can be further absorbed, and other things like calcium, which is also being absorbed into your pineal gland and facilitated by the fact that you have fluoride in your body. Now, fluoride is very, very hard to get out, and it wants to sit in your bones and other soft tissues in your body. First, the most absorbed organ is the pineal gland, next being your kidneys. So it wreaks havoc on your kidneys and kidney function. And then lastly, your soft tissues in your bones, as I just mentioned. One super interesting characteristic about the brain is we have what's called the 𝘨𝐵, a blood-brain barrier that literally protects the brain. Now, its job is to act as a gate. It's our force field that keeps the bad out, and it knows what's let in that's good, that actually feeds the brain, can actually help heal and have positive effects on our brain. So even though the pineal gland is sitting in this nice little bony cavity pretty much right in the middle of our brain, what's really interesting is it's not protected by that 𝘨𝐵. It's not protected by that blood-brain barrier. So it's really subject to interacting with things that aren't supposed to be there, that would normally be kept out of the rest of our brain, and they're able to interact with our pineal gland and have both positive and negative effects depending on what it is. But in this case, it's fluoride, which we do not want interacting with our pineal gland, our third eye, our window of the soul. You get my point in that regard. Two last things regarding fluoride exposure that I want to mention. It has a direct link with hair loss. So something that I've experimented on over the last several years, I should say, is I've been drinking distilled water, purified water. Don't drink tap water. That's the whole focus around this, is the right type of water to drink. And you should only be drinking reverse osmosis or distilled water, adding your own minerals back into your body because it is stripped of their natural minerals. But in any case, fluoride is removed from the water when we have distilled or reverse osmosis water, steam distilled. And so we're drinking pure water in that sense. So because fluoride, overexposure to fluoride has a direct result with increased hair loss in men. And once I found this out, and I found out that it kind of wants to sit around in your body, as I mentioned in the last couple minutes, I started experimenting with my own body, and this is probably over like 6 or 7 years I've been drinking this, but I never really had a receding hairline. But then again, I've never really seen this much hair growth, extra growth growing on in my own head, in my own hair. So it's pretty cool to actually see what's going on. And you know, they're short right now because I trimmed them, and I'm getting to the point where it's time to reintegrate this into the rest of my hair. So I gotta let these little bangs grow out so I can get them back into the rest of my hair. So hair loss, the other thing that I want to talk about is sleep. It has a role in sleep. It regulates our melatonin. So when we have a calcified pineal gland, because it has so much fluoride in it, the direct responsibility, one of the main responsibilities of that pineal gland is to produce that melatonin. And that is what helps regulate our sleep cycles, our circadian rhythm, when to go to bed. It gets released late at night, and it goes away early in the morning. Our body gets rid of it because now it's time to wake up, and it leaves our body. And so you literally are getting the interference with your brain because you're not getting the proper function of that pineal gland because it's solid as a rock. Literally, it's white. It literally shows up white when it's calcified, like a big rock. It's insane. So not only are you missing out on regulation of sleep, but now other hormones that are directly related to your function of sleep are now being indirectly affected. And we have this cascade effect going on inside the body. The last thing worth mentioning is fluoride exposure has a link or correlation with drug abuse and drug addiction. So there are some studies with cocaine, and it's possible correlation with fluoride exposure and some other drug and psychoactive drugs. So that might be worth mentioning. If you have anybody you love, somebody you take care of, somebody you know who feels comfortable telling you what their issues are, if they have sleep issues, if they have hormonal issues, if they have drug issues or drug abuse issues, one thing worth mentioning might be, do you drink tap water? What are different ways that we get fluoride in our body? We get it just through cooking and cleaning from our tap water. We get it in our shower. It's being absorbed in our skin. Guys, we forget that this is the largest organ, the most absorptive organ in the body. No matter what is going near it, whether it's in air form, gas form, water form, if it touches our skin, our body's gonna try to interact with it. So we have to remember that when we're showering and using beauty products, other things that are naturally made with chemicals and harsh things, that our body is absorbing these, and now they're trying to disassemble them and work harder than it has to just to keep our body healthy. So that's all I gotta say for this one. So as always, as I wrap this up, protect yourselves, and let us drink better water, pure water, and let's get the fluoride out of our body so that way you can remain healthy and start taking care of your body and the people that you love, your family and your friends better. All right, take care.